What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 145 of the Wrestlebread podcast, which is going to be the most stupendous episode of the Wrestlebread podcast. If you're watching on the YouTube video, you see I'm a little dialed up. I have the hair out, I got the lipstick on, and the nice dangling earrings because we are talking about the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. At least that's what WWE likes to keep telling us. As far as the build to this, well, I don't know. I'll get into my WrestleMania predictions. I'm also going to go into how I feel about this build and what is the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. Let me tell you, I cannot wait for WrestleMania to be over so I can stop hearing the word stupendous, because that is the trigger word that WWE wants all of us to keep saying, especially with the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Excuse me, WWE. Did you forget about WrestleMania 25? But that's another story. So let's get into it. Next week is going to be the 3-year anniversary of the Wrestlebread podcast, which also coincides with the review of WrestleMania. And of course, it's my birthday week. So it's a lot. A little bit of pop news. Of course, I saw the Batman, and I also saw the deleted scene that they had aired that featured the Joker. I'm a Batman girl. I love the Joker, first of all. And my opinion on it, while he looks good, he looks realistic, so I'm guessing this is kind of closer to when he got dropped in the acid, so they want it to look like he came from the acid. The Joker has been done plenty of times. I would just love to see them redo a different villain. We've seen the Joker about 8 times right now, and the Batman has a lot of enemies. They can definitely start looking at the animated series. A lot of people want the ventriloquist. People want Mr. Freeze redone as well. I would just like for them to kind of look into other people. They can look into Poison Ivy. I would love to see how they would do Poison Ivy in this world. Also, the slap heard around the world. The biggest slap since Stephanie McMahon was happened at the Oscars between Chris Rock and Will Smith. I know that people are probably tired of hearing about it. I don't watch the Oscars. I stopped watching the Oscars a long time ago. But when I heard about what happened, I definitely had to watch it. Now, of course, I don't know if they're going to... Now, if you want to talk about stupendous, Chris Rock versus Will Smith at WrestleMania 38 would probably be stupendous. But however, give it some time. WWE is still trying to build WrestleMania. Now, on to some news and rumors. Unfortunately, Triple H had announced on Stephen A. Show, I think his First Take, that he has officially retired from wrestling. He, of course, got sick a little bit after SummerSlam. Wasn't really a lot of details about what's going on. They mentioned it was like a heart event, so people didn't figure like maybe it was a heart attack or something like that. That it was some type of surgery or something like that was done. However, WWE kind of really didn't make it seem like it was a big deal. Come to find out, it was a very big deal. I mean, I figure he may have had a possible heart attack or something like that, but when he talked about, he was like close to death. So he had mentioned quote, I had a viral pneumonia. My lungs were inflamed. And as the next couple of days went on, after I got home, it got increasingly worse. Stephanie McMahon, his wife, had saw some blood and stuff that he was coughing up. He went and got checked. They followed up with an EKG. Basically, the way your heart pumps out when it's pumping blood, it normally is 55 to 65% of your ejection fraction, which is a good number. Triple H was at 30%, and he got a quick text from the doctor saying, don't take time, pack a bag real quick, head to the emergency room, I'll fill you in on the way. By the time he got to the emergency room, it went from 30% to 22%, which is, he was going to heart failure. By the time that they went into the surgery and everything, he got the MIR done, he was down to 12%, which means his heart was failing. Like, according to him, he was at the 1-yard line. And so, of course, He started thinking about his young daughters, his family, and stuff like that. He got a defibrillator put in, so of course he can't wrestle anymore due to his heart failure. I'm very glad that they found the issue with him very early, because it definitely would have got worse. We would have definitely had lost someone else very young. I mean, we just lost Scott Hall, all the people that we had lost over the years, who we had lost very young due to heart failure, heart attacks, and things like that. So I'm very happy for Triple H that it was found quickly and that he was able to recover. It seems like he kind of fully recovered from this. 30 years though in the ring. I believe he started like March 24th, 1992, and almost 30 years to the day that he had to retire from in-ring. I'm pretty sure, he'll be somewhat involved with wrestling, whether that may be back to coaching and mentoring or something like that, even if he hangs out with the NXT 2.0, helping the next generation, get into the business. But I really like Triple H as far as the Papa of NXT. I wasn't the biggest fan of Triple H, the wrestler, but the fact what he had presented to wrestling, especially with NXT, it definitely introduced a lot of people to the indies. Wrestlers who I've never heard of until they came over to NXT, who I became even bigger fans of. Biggest one is Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, of course, Keith Lee, Undisputed Era, Imperium. So a lot of people who have come through the Black and Gold NXT have come up to the main roster. I mean, the main roster is like 90% all NXT people. So the contributions that Triple H has given to wrestling you could write chapters of what he has done for wrestling. So I'm very happy for what he has done. Sad that, his time had to come to an end. All wrestlers want to be able to have their, last hurrah, to be able to ride off into the sunset on their own terms. But as we've seen with Stone Cold and Edge and everyone that we saw go through WWE, unfortunately, it's his time to retire. But I do hope that he continues to give contributions to WWE, could be backstage, producing, mentoring, helping people with, the promo class and stuff like that. Now, while they had taken away the Black and Gold NXT, a lot of his team has been let go. I'm hoping, if he is like officially retiring from wrestling completely, like he's just going to, stay at home, live out his life with his daughters and with Stephanie McMahon, then, that's really his choice. I can't really be mad if that's what he decides is best for him and his family. But I do hope he continues as far as making contributions. Now I held off with, this episode. Normally the episodes come out on Mondays, but I decided to hold off because um WWE's not done building WrestleMania. I mean, we are literally days away from WrestleMania, and the show still doesn't really feel complete. There's allegedly a 2-hour pre-show for each WrestleMania, and there really hasn't been any matches announced for this. There is matches happening at SummerSlam, WrestleMania that they're calling it. Matches that really should be on WrestleMania, and I'll get into that when I start getting into my WrestleMania predictions. But they have rounded out, it seems like they rounded out the Hall of Fame class for this year. Of course, we have Undertaker, we have Queen Shamel, we have Vader as well. It has been announced that Shad Gaspard will be this year's Warrior Award. Of course, we all know him from Crime Time, who gave the ultimate sacrifice for his child. I saw that there is a video package floating out there from WWE. I didn't watch it. I don't think I can watch it. I know I will not be able to make it through this segment without bawling my eyes out as a parent, knowing that, if any of us are put into the situation that he's been put into, that we are willing to make the same choice. But it's something that you don't want to have to happen. Riptides is one of my biggest fears when I go to the shore every year. Like, I tell the kids warnings about it all the time. Even if they don't announce that there's a riptide, I still kind of act like there could be a riptide out there because it's, those things are so dangerous and it comes out of nowhere, and really you have to like really research and learn how to combat those type of things. Um, but yeah, I heard that his son and his widow will be there. I'm gonna be bawling my eyes out just like I did at the Brody Lee tribute show with AEW. I don't know how I'll be able to make it through that. I might have to like take a moment. Hopefully, sorry, Queen Shamel. I hope his segment is like before hers, because I'm gonna need to like walk away and like seriously take a moment. Of course, there's not gonna be a dry eye in that house, but definitely he is well deserving of all the people who, they gave the award to. This is someone who is well deserving. I mean, the ultimate hero for that little boy. And the story that he allegedly threw his son to the rescuers so that they can save him, and then when they tried to look back for him, that he was gone. So yeah, it's going to be a sad one indeed, but he is well deserving of this Warrior Award. Also, rounding out the Hall of Fame is going to be the Steiner Brothers, which is a very interesting choice. I mean, there was rumors out there that maybe the Steiner Brothers, because normally always a tag team that goes in. And of course, with Braun Breaker wrestling in Stand and Deliver, I think it's called Stand and Deliver. I haven't been keeping up with NXT, so if it's not called Stand and Deliver, then forgive me. But the NXT Mania show, he will be going after the NXT title with Dolph Ziggler. And I didn't even watch NXT enough to really give predictions, so maybe I'll give them over Twitter or something like that. I have to watch the most recent episode of NXT so I can kind of pick up what's going on around there. But can we talk about Big Papa Pump with a live mic? And we know that he is not a fan of WWE's Hall of Fame. So I don't know if he's going to be tamed, if we going to get Scott, or we going to get Big Papa Pump, who's going to ask where all the freaks at. I'm here for it. I know I am ready. I'm going to have popcorn for when that man walks up on the stage. Rick, I know Rick will be fine. But Scott, though, I'm ready for it. The moment Scott opens his mouth, I know I'm going to start cracking up, because it's going to remind me of all the promos that man had pulled, especially the math one. Everybody knows the math one, but yeah, I cannot wait to see those two go in and to see him with that live mic. Like, that's going to be, we might be talking about that moment. Forget the Oscars. We're going to be talking about that jaw dropping moment when if Scott Steiner starts his stuff on a live mic. But also, so I was listening to the Solid Monster podcast, and he had mentioned, Steve Harvey has a court show. Don't ask. No, he's not a judge. It's a court show where he's not a judge. He's basically like a mediator. He listens to two sides of the story. Someone suing someone. He makes a quote unquote judgment, and then the production people are the one who pay. Because I was like, you can't. Like, Steve Harvey can't legally force someone to pay. But from what I read, the production team is who pays the money. So basically, they're giving out free money. It's just a matter of who they're going to give the money to. And apparently, there was an episode that aired recently that had Kevin Sullivan on it with James Morrison. Not that James Morrison. No, JJ Dillion, which I didn't know that was his real name. But yeah, it was Kevin Sullivan and JJ Dillion on the Steve Harvey court show. JJ Dillion is suing Kevin Sullivan because Kevin Sullivan had brought a boat. He couldn't really afford it. JJ Dillion had gave him $7,500, told him, pay me whenever. Kevin Sullivan said, whenever, I got you, dude. And according to Kevin Sullivan, he read the dictionary, the dictionary definition of what whatever means, which is an undisclosed amount of time. Whenever is whenever. And Steve Harvey kind of pointed out, hey, you guys are both in y'all like 70s, like whenever ain't that long. So of course, the Kevin Sullivan, admitted that he does owe the money and stuff like that. It was just mainly the paying whenever. They talked about their 40 years, stuff like that. When Steve Harvey found out they were both in wrestlers, he's talked about how he's been a fan for so long, a long time ago. And he mentioned, the people that he was fans of, Iron Sheik and stuff like that. And so, they showed the pictures of them as wrestlers and stuff like that. And I'm not going to say what the judgment is or anything like that, but in the end, after Steve Harvey made his judgment, they took pictures for a photo op and stuff like that, and he had thanked them for coming onto the show. So yeah, I watched it. I've seen a part of the episode of the Steve Harvey court show. I forgot the actual name. I just say it's the court show. But yeah, because I was like, excuse me, Steve Harvey is not a judge. I know he didn't go to law school. But yeah, I have checked out a little bit. But yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't. It's an interesting episode. I'll just say that. Also, so going over to AEW's side of news and rumors, according to Fightful Select, Tony Khan and MJF had a heated discussion over the weekend. MJF had a interview, and people thought that it may be what MJF said. Of course, MJF keeps flirting around with wanting to go to WWE. But it wasn't actually what he said. It's the fact that he did an interview and didn't clear it with AEW, Tony Khan, and the PR team. Tony Khan basically is like, I don't have a problem that he did the interview. It's just let us know. You kind of don't want to have your people go on to any type of interview, whatever, especially if you're like a really big wrestling company like AEW. You can't just let people go willy-nilly. So I completely understand that. But there's also a rumor allegedly from Fightful that MJF is frustrated over the contract status as of late. And he keeps talking about going to WWE and stuff like that. Look, if he wants to go to WWE, I say let him. I am going to get my popcorn ready. I am so interested to see what a WWE version of MJF is going to be. Look, we all know he's not going to, he definitely can't make your mama is on cocaine jokes. He probably will talk about how much the city that they're in sucks and this, that, and the third, but he can't curse. He can't curse. He can say bitch, and I think he could say ass. He could definitely say bitch on WETV. But he can't get away with that. He can't even just sit there and go off the fly. They're definitely he may be able to get them to let him do his own promos if they have that trust in him. But if not, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna get some soap opera writer to write up something for him, and he's gonna be sitting there sounding like Ronda Rousey. Guys, when I came here to WWE, it's like, no, we know he's not gonna be as bad as Ronda, but we know he's not gonna be, the MJF that we always have been seeing, where he could be a complete asshole and pull off and sit there and say your mama is on cocaine type of jokes. But yeah, it's not gonna fly at all. So getting into AEW, let's get into an AEW recap before I get into these Wrestlemania and everything predictions. It was a fine episode of AEW Dynamite. A lot of people initially complained when they first was talking about what was going to be on Dynamite that it feels like a filler type of episode. Of course, they are working their way to Double or Nothing, which is going to be over Memorial Day weekend. So they have about a good 2 months to kind of like slowly build up to the next pay-per-view. So there may be some filler episodes where, things are just kind of coasting. Well, apparently Tony Khan is still in the pleasing the fans market, so he went on to Twitter and he said something along the lines like, I feel so good about today that I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add a match, and I'm gonna let you guys know. We'll come to find out that match was CM Punk versus Dax Harwood, which was a pretty good match, I have to say. We also had Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley versus the Varsity Blondes. I'm not I'm not that much into the Varsity Blondes. I am still waiting for Julia Hart to figure out what are we doing with that eye patch boo. Are we turning evil or not? Because the slow burn is slow, all right? But seeing Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, you know, inflict violence, especially what they were doing to the Varsity Blondes, was just like chef's kiss. Like I didn't know we needed this. They gave themselves a name too. I forgot what the damn name was. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot the name that they named themselves. Oh, Blackpool Combat Club. Which okay, we know that there's a T-shirt out for it already. If you see me looking off to my side, I'm looking at my notes. But yeah, I didn't know that. I'm fine. I'm completely fine with that name. Like I'm still in awe that it's Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and William Regal. There's so many things I didn't know would be on this 2021 wrestling bingo card, or even things that if you were to tell me 5 years ago, yeah, just to let you know, Jon Moxley, no, Dean Ambrose, Daniel Bryan, and William Regal are going to go to a rival wrestling promotion, form a team, and just sit there and kick the living shit out of everyone. I would say you're a damn liar. And yet here we are in 2022. I said 2021. Excuse me, let me come up to the present. 2022 wrestling bingo card. We also had Jay Lethal versus Adam Cole, which was pretty solid, I have to say. Welcome back, Jay Lethal. Welcome to TV time with AEW Dynamite. He has been on Dark and stuff like that. Like I said, they tend to love to, you know, rotate their people out, but it's to the point that you rotate someone out for so long, you kind of forget that they're with the company still. And I thought that they legit forgot about Jay Lethal as well. What else? We also had a segment too backstage with Yuta Wheeler with the best friends. They didn't like the fact that he turned around and went to get slapped by William Regal, and Yuta has said a great line. He said, "I'm not here to be a best friend. I'm here to be the best wrestler." And I said that's the smartest damn thing he has said since he joined the company. I don't know if we're gonna have a bunch of chickadees, walking behind, chasing around and walking behind Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, and with William Regal by their side. But I'm here for it. I want to see the school of violence, and I hope it takes over AEW. I'm not exactly take over, because I still like my spots sometimes and my flippy flips. Shout out to Ray Phoenix, but yeah, give me the violence, give me that hard hitting, brutal stuff. I don't need blood all the time. I mean, Attitude Era love to do blood. I don't need blood a lot. Sometimes we don't need to see blood with certain things. Like I don't need to see a 10-minute match and then pop, there goes blood because it's Wednesday. I don't need all that. Just give me a good solid match. I mean, we've seen it with Bryan Danielson and Suzuki. That was hard hitting. Neither one of them bled. It was a hard hitting match. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, we're working our way to Double or Nothing. It was announced that the Owen Cup, they're now doing qualifying matches. Now I was a little confused. I thought that the announcement was going to be a debut of the women's for the women's division coming on to I think it was Rampage, and Rampage was live. And then come to find out it was an announcement of a debut that's coming on Wednesday. I figured maybe I read the tweet wrong or something like that, or Tony Khan said that there is going to be a debut on Friday. But now it's on Wednesday. Okay, Vince. You want to sit there and make a promise and then tell us I'll actually tune in to the next episode. Whatever. People are thinking is Tony Khan is someone who's going to debut for the Owen Cup for the women's division. People think it's the person going against the bunny. People think it could be Tony Storm. It could be Mia Yim. Who else? It could be Ember Moon as well. There's someone else I'm forgetting. Scarlett, perhaps. But yeah, I'm all here for it. I mean, we're still like raking in people. I will say the women's division do need some new women. The women who are there, while bless their hearts, they're not at that level just yet. Especially the fact that we need some competitors, at least some viable competitors for Jade Cargill's title run. I don't know who will be able to beat her. I don't know who we're gonna have to beat her. But she's about to hit 30-0. And she did mention that she wanted to know who's next. I think it was Nyla Rose who challenged no, it wasn't Nyla. I don't think it was Nyla Rose that challenged Jade Cargill. But yeah, maybe there'll be another women's debut. Who knows? I know that Jordan Grace, I hope I'm saying her first name right. I know that her and Jade Cargill has been talking a lot on Twitter. That's a feud I would like to see. I definitely would like to check that out as well. But yeah, we're just slowly crawling our way to Double or Nothing for year 3 of AEW. So yeah, I can't wait to see that's going to happen. I feel like it's going to be Hangman Page. Oh, first of all, after the match with CM Punk, he did do the I'm going after the belt motion. It could be the TNT title, but I highly doubt that because CM Punk. So we may be going after the world title, which is I don't know how I feel about that because I do want Adam Cole to win the title next. But do you really need to put the title on CM Punk? I know that you want to put the title on the person who who pulls the most draw. And maybe, yeah, CM Punk, because, people still pop for him and sing the song and stuff like that. And whenever, they say, oh, CM Punk's coming, here come everybody and their mama to watch it. I don't know. I kind of want Adam Cole to get it. But maybe, CM Punk wins and then we get him versus Adam Cole. But that's going to be too much because we are waiting for Kenny Omega to return. And then on top of that, it is like we really are getting the storyline towards the Undisputed Era and the Elite. So I know that they're slowly going to work towards that. I thought it was going to be Paige and the Young Bucks versus the Undisputed Era, but I don't know if that's going to be the way that they're going to go. But I'm here for it. Can't wait to see what comes on the next pay-per-view. But speaking of the next pay-per-view, we're about to talk about the most stupendous WrestleMania in WWE history, according to WWE. I mean, I can name a couple of WrestleManias that are more exciting about it. Now, I don't know, maybe because it's the season, and, I always correlate WrestleMania with my birthday, and now with the anniversary of the podcast, but I'm starting to get just a little bit more excited because it's WrestleMania. Not exactly because of what's happening as far as the build and some of these matches that's happening. Now, I held off again with this episode because I wanted to see what was going to happen on Monday. Because last week, Seth Rollins said that he was going to pretty much hijack Monday Night Raw unless he gets a WrestleMania opponent. And then on social media, I don't know why they did this on social media, but on social media, WWE released a 3-minute video of Seth Rollins going to Connecticut to go see Vince McMahon. like I said, I don't know why they released it on social media on Sunday instead of just letting it play out on Monday. You know, people are going to tune in to see if Cody Rhodes is going to show up. Because, you know, that's kind of like the path that we're going. You know, 1 + 1 = 2. You know, tell Seth Rollins he's going to have an opponent at WrestleMania. You get adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. But, you know, with this meeting, first of all, Seth Rollins was being Seth Rollins. Got into the office with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon looking at him like the child who wrote on the wall. And so he mentioned that he wanted the WrestleMania match. Vince McMahon said, "Why didn't you just ask?" And I'm saying, like, first of all, are you not watching your own show? I know you are. I know you're watching your own show. You didn't see Seth Rollins say that he needs a WrestleMania opponent, and then you literally sat there and watch him sit there and butt into each and every storyline, saying he needs a opponent for WrestleMania, and then have Sonya Deville say, "You know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to have you go against Kevin Owens. I'm going to have you go against AJ Styles. I'm going to have you go against this person and that person. And if you win, you get their storyline." Meanwhile, Shayna Basler and Natalya jumps into a tag team title match, whip someone's ass, and they immediately get added in. I don't even think that they had the chance to ask to be added in. I think it immediately got that graphic popped up within a few seconds later. But, you know, I've come to realize, you know, because I keep thinking as to why, you know, there is such a difference with WrestleMania, you know, today versus not WrestleMania today, WWE today versus WWE when we were growing up. And I kind of figured, you know, when we were growing up, we really didn't use a lot of logic. We kind of just sat back and enjoyed things. And I come to realize if we stop and use logic with some of these things, you kind of like roll your eyes to it. Because I was sitting there like, why are we booking Seth Rollins this way when if someone sneezes at a champion, they immediately get a title shot? I mean, all we had Roman Reigns. We had Roman Reigns sit there and interfere in Brock Lesnar's match. Brock Lesnar immediately gets a match. Brock Lesnar says this is going to be a title unification match. It becomes a title unification match. And like my earlier example, Shayna Baszler and Natalya sat there, jumped in a match, whipped somebody's ass, and they get a title shot. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins has to go through hoops as far as can he get a WrestleMania opponent. So Vince McMahon tells him, "All right, you're gonna go to WrestleMania." Seth Rollins goes, "All right, who am I going against?" And Vince says, "It's gonna be a person of my choosing, and you'll find out when you get out there." Now, Vince mentioned main event of WrestleMania, which I doubt that's gonna happen. Because I forget, wait a minute, what night is that going to be on? Oh yeah, that's on night Saturday. So, you know, it's a wonder because he mentioned you know, you want your own main event at WrestleMania. And I'm like, wait, we're making this the WrestleMania event? I mean, there's at least 3 WrestleMania events, 4 technically, many events that I'm hearing for Saturday night. I'm hoping they're not going to do with I forgot what WrestleMania was. Maybe 34 or 36 or something like that. When they kept saying, like, it was like 3 matches that was quote unquote the main event. But technically the main event was Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I would like to say it was 34 maybe. Where they really wanted Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to be the actual last match. But they kept calling other matches main event. There are 3 main event matches. Like, no, dog. Okay? In boxing, there is only one main event, which is the last match to go on the card. However, you know, with WWE, it is what it is. So yeah, I'm sitting here like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna get Cody Rhodes, but I'm sitting here like, so is Vince McMahon gonna introduce him? Or is Seth going to stand in the middle of the ring and then Cody Rhodes come out? If Vince McMahon introduces Cody Rhodes, that's going to be straight wild. I mean, truthfully, I'm going to say it. If they bring in Cody Rhodes as former AEW, EVP Cody Rhodes and not Stardust or dashing Cody Rhodes, it's going to feel like when Eric Bischoff went over to WWE and appeared on Raw. I'm going to get those type of vibes because it's going to be like, dude, you talked so much shit about WWE. And now here you are walking out with Vince, arm in arm, skipping off to your WrestleMania moment as your debut night. And like I said this before on the podcast, I'm waiting for the dead zone when it's October, November, December, before we start flipping on to next year's WrestleMania booking. I want to know how Cody Rhodes is going to be booked around that time. Because, I feel like he's going to be booked properly. He obviously is going to have a great WrestleMania debut, going up against Seth Rollins. Crowd's going to go completely wild. They're going to keep floating along. SummerSlam's going to come along. They're going to get that up and going as well. But once that is over and we're, in the fall, now WWE is going up against the NFL and stuff like that. And we're in the dead zone where, the TLC and everything and, Crown Jewel and what have you. I'm interested on how they're going to book Cody Rhodes at that point. That's going to be the $1 million question. However, while I am excited because of the, time that WrestleMania brings to me, I am very, very disappointed with the booking of WrestleMania. I said this with the last episode that WWE is not booking on the fact that this is WrestleMania. Even with them saying the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time, it's still not completed. It is almost midnight, guys. Someone needs to tell Vince WrestleMania is this weekend, not next weekend. He doesn't have a lot more time left to build it. And it's really a shame because normally with WrestleMania is pretty much booked at least 3 weeks out. All we're doing right now at this point is adding matches to the pre-show or completing a match. Like if there was like with the women's tag team championship, there was a triple threat and they decided to make it a fatal 4-way. I can see stuff like that. But we're still adding matches to WrestleMania. And WrestleMania is this weekend. Which is crazy because it's not like it's not like Survivor Series where, people could just, Survivor Series is in my town. Let me just go get some tickets and go there. No, this is WrestleMania. The internationals come in, people from all over comes in. All the wrestling indie shows come on to the city that WrestleMania is at. It's like a big event. It's like the Super Bowl. Like the Super Bowl is booked at least 2 weeks out. So it's like, what are you guys doing? So it's like WWE is just getting by on the fact that it's WWE. They're not even a wrestling show. It's a marketing program that promotes superstars. And, with this being WrestleMania and they're using these trigger words of stupendous and the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, even shooting themselves in the foot with that one. Because I'm like, you guys for decades love to show the footage of Hulk Hogan standing toe-to-toe to Andre the Giant. You guys love showing the image of The Rock and Hulk Hogan looking side to side as the fans are screaming out. You love to show the moment of the Undertaker diving over the top rope, wrestling Shawn Michaels. I mean, guys made a shirt of it, for crying out loud. You guys love to talk about the first women's WrestleMania event, at Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. I mean, you guys love to talk about, Kofi Mania, the Yes Movement, and, a lot of WrestleMania matches that is definitely a lot bigger than Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. So this week, we had WrestleMania Raw and WrestleMania SmackDown, which, I get it. You want to make this whole week a big spectacle so people are watching it every single day. The thing that I'm pretty upset about is that both Ricochet and Finn Balor are not booked on WrestleMania. Even if we say WrestleMania is 3 hours, there's still a 2-hour pre-show. Yeah, I'll even play devil's advocate and say it's a 1-hour pre-show. You mean to tell me you can't get your 2 champions on the biggest pay-per-view, the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time? You can't even get your 2 mid-card titles on there? Sami Zayn lost the IC title to Ricochet. Sami Zayn is at WrestleMania and Ricochet isn't. Finn Balor won the U.S. title, and he is going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, which is on SmackDown, which is a shame because this is normally tied to WrestleMania. Even if you want to say, okay, all the mid-carders do it, it still has the name Andre the Giant. You can't even put it on the pre-show like you usually do. Also, has anyone seen Xia Li and Shotzi? Xia Li, the Protector. I was guessing that they was going to do that women's version of, that was the WrestleMania Battle Royale. I forgot what I think they used to call it the Fabulous Moolah something something Memorial Battle Royale. And then they changed it to the women's WrestleMania Battle Royale or something like that. But I still don't get why we're still setting up matches. All this should have been, set up and ready to go as of 2 weeks ago. Also, so I had misspoke. I kept on saying that they were trying to sell out Jerry World, which houses 100,000 people. And I found out that allegedly WWE is only setting up for 65,000 people. So obviously they're not going to have, the additional 40,000 people. It could be due to, the setup production and stuff like that. And the fact that we're still slightly in a pandemic as well. But even still with 65,000 people, I looked it up. There's still fucking tickets available. And it's not like, the tickets are $500 and stuff like that. No, I looked up. There are tickets available for $30. WrestleMania tickets still available for $30. I remembered when WrestleMania used to sell out. I remembered when, now maybe it was I think it was SummerSlam, but I remember SummerSlam at one point sold out in like 30 minutes or something. It was something very crazy. And I remember when WrestleMania used to sell out just as fast as well. And now there are still tickets available for WrestleMania. And there are apparently more tickets available for Sunday, which has the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, than it is for Saturday. But there's still tickets available for both nights and for like 30, 40, $50. I think all the floor seats are sold out, so that's a good thing. And I think maybe slight lower level. I think there were some lower level seats available, but the fact that there's still seats available as of this week is just a crying shame. So getting into the recap of what happened at Raw, and I will then get into my predictions. First of all, Kevin Owens is being such a heel. Came out as Stone Cold with the ball cap and everything. I forgot the guy who was used to imitate Stone Cold back in the day, but Kevin Owens looked just like him. Of course, with the glass break, everyone lost their mind. Stone Cold comes out, everyone starts booing and stuff like that. Of course, he goes to cut his promo, made complete fun of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then the glass break again. And, kudos to Kevin Owens. We talking about Oscars. Chef's kiss. Kevin Owens should definitely get an Oscar for what he did because he reacted to it. And people thought that here comes Stone Cold again. And no, that wasn't the case. It was Kevin Owens being, a true heel once again. And apparently there was people who were very upset about it and stuff like that. Like overly upset. And I'm like, is this not the Kevin Owens that we all wanted? I could have sworn that people were complaining that Kevin Owens is unhappy. Look at his face. He's unhappy. He needs to leave. He needs to go to AEW and stuff like that. I just wanted this Kevin Owens. I wanted the Kevin Owens that we have seen, talk crap to John Cena, the Kevin Owens we saw in Black and Gold NXT, the Kevin Owens from, the friendship, a celebration of friendship and stuff like that. So I am happy that we're getting this. I hope this continues as far as, Kevin Owens trolling and stuff like that, but if we only get it for WrestleMania, I'm happy with this build. So Kevin Owens had come out once again, cut another promo about Stone Cold Steve Austin and whatnot. But yeah, I'm very happy that we are getting this KO as well. There were also some people who were like slightly like they didn't know exactly who's going to be coming out as far as Seth Rollins, and I'll get into that as well. Now, I mentioned how I don't like when AEW had did it, and now WWE is doing it, is when you give us the match before the match. So, for example, with Drew McIntyre, it was Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss and what was it? I think it was Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Now, while we didn't get, Happy Corbin to actually wrestle Drew McIntyre, the fact that this is set up as that, I feel like it's lazy booking. We also had Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. Like, you're pretty much giving, they're doing the reverse of what they used to do. It used to be that WWE would have the pay-per-view match, and then we get the rematch directly the next night on Raw. And that used to take a lot of people off, especially me, because I'm like, we all sat here for hours on a Sunday night, especially people overseas, staying up with pay-per-views starting 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. They're staying up, having to go to work tomorrow just for you to give them the match again for free. And now what we're getting is the reverse. We're getting part of the match for free, and then you expect us to sit down for 2 nights of a bunch of hours of pay-per-view. People overseas staying up very late at night, and just for us to watch the same thing again. Seeing Rey Mysterio going against The Miz, you pretty much kind of gave it away because, I would have rather for them not to book these two to go against each other because we wanted Rey Mysterio to kind of having to hold in that pent up anger with The Miz taking the mask and, Logan Paul and all the other stuff, them trolling them and whatnot. But it's like, you already gave that to us. I was fine with RK Bro versus the Usos. I'm completely fine with that. You want to do champion versus champion? That's the type of matches you should be giving us for WrestleMania. Give us exciting matches, but let it tie in to WrestleMania, which was done perfectly for champion versus champion with the tag team division. Because you had Shinsuke Nakamura and Nick Booz out there to kind of pretty much scout the Usos, who were going against the RK Bros afterwards, and this was the main event. Afterwards, you had the Street Profits coming out, attacking RK Bro as well, and then you had Rick and Nakamura come in to start attacking the Usos, and you had nothing but a bunch of pandemonium and RKOs to go all around. That was booked perfectly. We weren't exactly given the match right then and there, because they could have easily had booked Randy Orton versus Montez Ford. No, let us get the match for the first time when we get to the pay-per-view. Don't start giving us pieces of the match, and then you kind of figure out how the match is kind of gonna go once we get to the pay-per-view event. Because they also did it with the women's tag team title. They had all 4 teams and they matched together. And it's like, we have the faces and the heel going against the heels, but I'm like, okay, But still, you kind of gave us the match beforehand. And so, like, when you get to the pay-per-view event, you're kind of sitting there feeling like not really into it because you already saw it pretty much. What else? Oh, we also had Omos who was going against the Viking Raiders on a 2-on-1 handicap match. Yay, go tag team division. It was cut very shortly. I mean, Omos did a clothesline, and I forgot who it was going against. I think it was Eric. And he kind of rolled out of the ring and started grabbing his head. So I'm guessing it was maybe an actual injury or something like that because he got counted out. And then Omos was interviewed afterwards. He basically put out a challenge, and out comes Bobby Lashley. Now, I popped for Bobby Lashley. I'm very happy he's back. I thought he was going to be out for 4 months, which is why he gave up the title. But he comes back to go against Bobby Lashley. Now, there's people who are happy about this him going against Omos, and I admit it's very interesting as well. But once again, we have someone who lost their title, and then they come back, and they don't even go after the title. I feel as though it would have been a lot better if Bobby Lashley came out as a surprise. You could have had the commentator in there and say, we would like to welcome back this person. Bobby Lashley comes out. He mentions how he wants to go after the title he never lost. At least identify that. And then you have Omos come out and challenge Bobby Lashley and say, no one has been able to knock me down. I want to go against you. And then Bobby Lashley can say, you know what? I want to go after the title I never lost. But you know what? Since you're out here and you want to challenge the Almighty, let's do it at WrestleMania. You kill out 2 birds with 1 stone. You don't make Bobby Lashley seem stupid. The fact that you got injured by plexiglass and you lost a title that you technically didn't lose, and then you come back and not even go after it. I mean, Becky Lynch gave away the title to Asuka, come back and immediately win it within a couple of seconds. So it just makes 0 sense for Bobby Lashley to come out to be the one to challenge, to come out while Omos is being talked to, when we had Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar out there cutting promos. He could have easily have come out when Brock Lesnar was cutting a promo against Roman Reigns. That would have really gotten a pop from everyone. He mentioned how he's here to get back the title he never lost. Have Brock Lesnar have a little fun with Bobby. I mean, we can have face versus face type of confrontation. I don't know why WWE doesn't want to do that. You can have Brock Lesnar start cutting a few jokes on Bobby Lashley again and whatnot. And then you have Omos come out and say, you know what? I'm tired of playing with these little guys and having to, and walking around with dead weight. Make a reference to AJ Styles, something like that. And then say, I'm here to play with the big guys. And then look at, the fact that he is taller than Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and sit there and say, or maybe the little guys. And then challenge. And then have Bobby Lashley say, you know what? You got a lot of mouth and all this other stuff. Like, it's simple. It's simple. If I can just spew this out of, thin air, I don't get why we couldn't do the same for Mr. Bobby Lashley. But yeah, I am slightly disappointed that that's what we're going to do with Bobby Lashley. And I'll get into that matchup when I get into my predictions. But coming up on SmackDown this week, we are going to have the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. Finn Balor is in this, so I don't know if maybe something happens from this match. Maybe Damian Priest and Finn Balor get into it, and then that will book the match against them too at WrestleMania. We also have Ricochet going against Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, who are cousins and tag team partners, which is stupid on Ricochet's part to go against 2 people who's going to team up to go against you anyway. I mean, you might as well have booked a handicap match. So maybe that will lead to a match to WrestleMania. But even still, you are still setting up matches the night before WrestleMania, which makes no sense. But with this match, we have Apollo Crews, also Commander Aziz, Robert Roode, Jinder Mahal, Shanky, R-Truth, Mansoor, Madcap Moss, Eric and Ivar, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak, and Reggie. Speaking of Reggie and Akira Tozawa, we had a very interesting event with the 24/7 title. Reggie had proposed to Dana Brooke, who said yes. And then Akira Tozawa had proposed to Tabita, who also said yes. So, I don't know, I shook my head with it, but, at least we have a bit of a storyline going with the 24/7 title. Akira Tozawa. That poor little guy. That poor little guy. But, I don't know. It's a very weird thing that suddenly I can see with Reggie and with Dana Brooke, because he's like actively protecting her from the title and whatnot. And for him to have the friendship and then that develops into something, I get that. I kind of don't get Tamina and Akira Tozawa. I know like maybe she's doing this whole dominatrix type of situation, but yeah, I really don't get it. So I'm guessing maybe it's going to turn into a mixed gender tag match for the pre-show or something like that. Like, don't sit here and tell me the pre-show is going to be them talking for 2 straight hours. I'm not tuning in if that's what it's going to be. If they're going to have a match, I'll check out the match. But if you're going through recaps on both nights for 2 hours, you're going to be talking for 4 hours over this weekend. I'm not tuning into that. I am not tuning into that. So let's get into some predictions. I'm also going to go into some more more details of my thinking of the match and stuff like that as well. So starting off with, and this is as of before SmackDown, the WrestleMania predictions for night 1 of WrestleMania, which is on Saturday. So there really is no telling what the actual main event is. There was a rumor that it was going to be Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey, and then it was turned to the KO show, and then people wanted it to be Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair, and then with the segment with Seth Rollins and Vince McMahon saying the words main event, I'm sitting here like, are they about to make the Seth Rollins match a main event? Who knows? But starting off with the SmackDown Women's Championship match, we have Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Charlotte Flair mentioning how she doesn't tap out, Ronda taps her out. You're a one-trick pony. Ronda now knows how to do the ankle lock thanks to Kurt Angle. Now they tried their best to build up this match, but Ronda Rousey with the promos, it was a little difficult. However, I am going to go with Ronda Rousey to win this one. I feel like this is a complete build for Ronda Rousey and her new ankle lock and all the ways that she could sit there and make Charlotte tap. Charlotte is going to tap, even though she had tapped about 3-4 times before. I know definitely by Sasha Banks, but Asuka has tapped her out too. I think it was one more person who had tapped her out as well, but maybe Becky Lynch. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to go to Ronda Rousey on this one. For the Raw Women's Championship match with Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair, going Bianca on this one. They keep on selling the point that Becky Lynch has held the title for 600 days, which is like completely disrespectful. Especially the fact that when she had to leave, she gave her title to Asuka, who then lost it, and we go down the drain. And then when she comes back, she takes a different title. And so yeah, like I feel like Bianca's gonna win this. The build for this could have been a lot better. I don't know. WWE tends to like kind of put things on the back burner, But I feel like this is going to be a pretty good match. We're at least going to I don't know, we're at least going to get something more this time around than what we have seen previously before. Now, KO has done a great job building this up on his own without Stone Cold really coming out to like interact with him and stuff like that. Everybody is like excited about this. Um, I feel like they are really still in pressure on Stone Cold to actually wrestle. But I feel like this is going to be very similar to The Undertaker and John Cena, where The Undertaker had a pretty like quick 2-minute match, to kind of like do things that way. So I feel like with these two, it's going to be a segment, and then it's going to lead to a match, but I don't think that match is going to be that long. Because they keep talking about 19 years since he's been in a ring and how he's been gone 19 years and stuff like that. Like, guys, he was at WrestleMania 30, and then he was at WrestleManias after that too. He's been on the WWE Network with his podcast, so it has been 19 years. But yeah, I think this is going to be a quick match. If there's going to be a match, it could be very simply be a a KO show, and then Stone Cold comes out, gives a couple of stunners, and then call it a day. But I don't think this is going to be the closer of the show. I know people are trying to make the case for it because, well, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, this, that, and the third. This could be a really good this segment could be really good to put towards the later portion of the show where the crowd starts to get a little tired. Definitely could put it after that Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin match to kind of wake the crowd back up. But yeah, this is definitely a later on in the show, kind of like get the crowd going again, to keep the crowd, entertained a bit after a bathroom break match. But here, of course, I'm going with Stone Cold. I mean, it's Texas. Stone Cold's gonna go over. Like, why wouldn't he? That would be a swerve though if Kevin Owens was to, be able to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I doubt that's gonna happen. So after that, we have Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Interested to see how Logan Paul is going to be in the WWE ring. I mean, the best person to, help you out with that would be The Miz. Now, as far as who to pick, I'm actually going to go with The Miz and Logan Paul here. Well, I think it could, you know what? I'm changing my mind. It could definitely, like, I feel like, all right, I'm officially going to stick with The Miz and Logan Paul. Only because, I feel like The Miz and Logan Paul is going to do something to win. Plus, it's a celebrity. 9 times out of 10, the celebrity will win the match. However, the fact this is around the time of WWE 2K22, if you want to really promote the video game, you'll have Rey Mysterio, pull over a win here. Sit there and say this match has been brought to you by WWE 2K22. It's out right now, and all this other stuff. But I'm gonna go with The Miz and Logan Paul because I feel like the celebrity is going to win here. Why not? Why not? Then we have Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Now, for Ricochet and for Finn Balor to not be on the show, but you have this match on there. And I like Drew McIntyre, I do. But this match does not feel like a WrestleMania match. Pre-show, and I hate to say pre-show, but pre-show, yes. But this isn't a WrestleMania match. You should have definitely had put Ricochet against Angel Garza, or Humberto Carlito on here. You could have definitely did Finn Balor versus someone on here as well. Like, it makes zero sense as to why this match is on here and not Ricochet and Finn Balor. I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre on here. They were talking about how Happy Corbin has been undefeated since. And they've been leaving like little clues that, there's something going on with Madcap Moss. And so I think that Either this is going to lead to a turn between Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, or Drew McIntyre just wins here cleanly. We'll see. Next up, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Look, I like Shinsuke Nakamura, Rick Boogs. I really like Shinsuke Nakamura, but I think the Usos are going to retain here just to continue on this bloodline thing, or it could be a completely different swerve. Um, I don't think Shinsuke and Rick Boogs are going to make it here, and that breaks my heart because I really like Shinsuke Nakamura. And I would really like to see him as champion again, but I don't think it's going to happen here with the Usos. So I feel like this could be a entertaining match. Rick Boogs does have some wrestling skills, just the fact that they really try to make him into a I know they're trying to make Rick Boogs into the reincarnation of Freddie Mercury, but I still don't think they're going to be champions here. I don't think there's going to be a turn or anything like that. I just think that the Usos they might do the whole little cheating thing they do with the pin where one twin holds the other twin's foot down, like that helps with the pin a little more, but I think somehow the Usos are going to retain here. Also, we have a match that was announced recently: King Woods and Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland. I actually thought that Pete Dunne would be in this match. It would be Pete Dunne and Sheamus versus King Woods and Kofi Kingston. But it looks like he's gonna be just chilling on the outside. I'm gonna go with Sheamus and Ridge Holland though. Despite the fact that people probably want King Woods and Kofi Kingston to go over, I feel as though the fact that we have Pete Dunne on the outside, he's going to help Sheamus and Ridge Holland win here. Maybe even start a feud between Pete Dunne and Xavier Woods, or Pete Dunne versus Kofi Kingston. I know he's called Butch, but no. Butch is a pit bull's name. I probably know someone who has a pit bull named Butch, but yeah. I'm gonna go with Sheamus and Ridge Holland here. And now on to the big match that everybody will be talking about. Seth Rollins to face an opponent of Mr. McMahon's choosing at WrestleMania Saturday. So this is one of those situations like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen, that you feel like it's not going to happen. But oh my gosh, as much as I want to see Vince McMahon go out there and introduce Cody Rhodes to the world, what if this is Gable Stevenson? I started cracking up because I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. Because I thought that Cody Rhodes would just show up at WrestleMania. But the fact that Vince McMahon is going to be someone of his choosing, and he's going to, like, it feels like he's going to announce this person. Like I said, just the thought of Vince McMahon announcing Cody Rhodes coming to the ring, that's going to be very wild. It's going to be a very wild thing to see. Like, if it's Cody Rhodes, I just expect Seth Rollins be in the ring and then Cody Rhodes come out. Like, I don't expect Vince McMahon to come out, give a slight speech, and then introduce Cody Rhodes. Like, whoa, that's gonna be a scene. That's a WrestleMania moment. So I'm like, if Vince McMahon is coming out to introduce someone, what if it's Gable Stevenson? Someone had mentioned, oh my gosh, I forgot the other person that they had mentioned. Someone mentioned Shane McMahon. It was just one of those situations where it feels like this is really about to happen, and you feel like WWE's like gonna fuck it up like they sometimes do. So it's just like, and then of course the graphic that they put up there is Seth Rollins versus Vacant. So people think that's who's going to show up, because I mean, no one has beaten Vacant for a title or anything. That man has been dominating WWE for decades. Um, but yeah, oh my gosh. Cody Rhodes And then there's a thought of him coming out with the Adrenaline in My Soul. So I don't know too much about the ownership of that song, if AEW actually had owned it or if it's Cody Rhodes who owns it, but Adrenaline in My Soul, something, 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 Cody Rhodes. It's gonna be a wild thing to see in WWE. And if it is his and he brings it over there, I hope he actually keeps it before WWE gives him like a generic ass theme, just some sounds like Need for Speed or GTA or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's gonna be a wild thing is to see, oh my gosh, is to see Cody Rhodes get introduced by Vince McMahon. It's like, is it going to be Vince? I mean, is it Vince introducing Cody Rhodes as in I got the EVP from WWE, or is it Vince introducing Cody like this is about to be WWE versus AEW? Like, is this going to be Triple H versus Sting all over again without, without AEW people coming out? That's be weird. Um, but yeah, like I would like to say this will be, if it's Cody Rhodes, I feel like Cody Rhodes is going to win. Like, basically, this person is being introduced by Vince McMahon. So, obviously, it's going to be that person who's going to win. However, it's like, if Cody Rhodes come out, will they be tempted to make this into AEW versus WWE, where WWE has to come out on top type of situation? Like, how are you going to book this? Is this going to be our our no contest type of match, the count out or DQ that we always get for pay-per-views? But I feel like it's going to be a good match. And like, it's just so many things, because if Cody Rhodes come out to go against Seth Rollins, even though Seth Rollins is technically the heel, Seth Rollins gets cheered like a face. So if Cody Rhodes comes out, is he technically the face even though he's been introduced by Vince McMahon? It's just like a lot of confusion going on here. And I would just love to see this all play out of how we are going to do with Cody Rhodes. And it feels like if he is going to be introduced by Vince McMahon, that we're not going to get the Stardust. That they're not going to tell that soon as Cody Rhodes walks into the backstage at WrestleMania, that they hand him face paint and said, "I hope you've been practicing, son." I hope that they not going to look at him and say, "Where's your mustache? You're supposed to be dashing. Where's the fucking mustache?" That it's going to be Adrenaline in My Soul, something, something, something. Cody Rhodes. With the long trench coat and walking around like he stepped off the set of The Boys. Oh my gosh, I wonder if he's gonna wear the Homelander. It is just so many things with this. Um, I'm just like so curious. Like, what is the gear gonna be? What is the music gonna be? Um, how's he gonna wrestle? How's he gonna get booked? Is he winning this match? Like that, the balls that they have to bring over the AEW EVP and have them beat Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins, the prodigal child of WWE, even though it's Roman Reigns, but still, the the guy who, is the company guy and is willing to defend WWE against everyone. You're going to have the former AEW EVP. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that Cody Rhodes was affiliated with AEW, even if you're a casual. You have to know that he was the EVP of a rival company. And so for him to come out and possibly beat Seth Rollins, it's very confusing. It's exciting. I'm excited to see what happens with this because it's just a very crazy situation. It's the excitement that, you get when someone has possibly signed with AEW. You wonder, oh my gosh, how they're going to get booked and they can go against this person and that person. I'm very curious of of the package of Cody Rhodes is going to be. Unwrap it. Are we going to see, is he going to blow glitter all over the place? Is he going to paste on a mustache? Has he been gone so he can grow said mustache? Like, I'm interested to know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's night one of WrestleMania as of right now. I mean, even the WWE website says WrestleMania is Saturday so far. So they may be more matches booked on Friday, and at that point, it is what it is. I'm just gonna enjoy whatever matches they add, whatever. You're gonna add matches to WrestleMania the night before WrestleMania, which I think is completely crazy. So going into WrestleMania Sunday so far, we have Bobby Lashley versus Omos. So I have mentioned I have the issue of the fact that Bobby Lashley has come back after losing a title that he technically did not lose, just to come back to go against Omos. Now, we had a little bit of a tussle between these guys where they ran the ropes and bumped into each other, and Bobby Lashley knocked down Omos. And, you know, the 20 people who were on commentary that day, which as soon as I saw it was 4 people on commentary at Raw, I muted Raw. I'm not gonna lie. I muted Raw. I muted Raw. I barely can get through. I can't. I don't know. Not barely. The 4 people that be commentating on AEW is a lot as well. The only reason why I don't really tune them out because I really like the interaction with Taz, Excalibur, and Ricky Starks. Other than that, my goodness, it's a lot. 3 people on commentary is a lot, but 4 people, that's too much. But yeah, once they sat there, it's like, no one has knocked Omos off his feet before. I'm like, why didn't we save that for WrestleMania? Why are we getting that at Raw? Why couldn't they just, bump each other and bump each other, and then Omos smiles and then walks out of the ring? Why am I able to book this better than what we're doing right now? It's just slightly frustrating. But with this situation, in my opinion, this is a lose-lose situation. If you have Bobby Lashley, beating Omos, who has been booked so strongly for over the year, to have him lose against Bobby Lashley, and then it's like, where do we go from here? If we have Omos win here, we're going to have the former champion who, was taken out by plexiglass and who was a former champion, stuff like that, and Omos beats him. And it's not like Omos is going to go toe to toe as far as wrestling talent and moveset like Bobby Lashley. We're going to get a choke slam, and then he's going to take a pause, and then we're going to get something else. It feels like Omos has the wrestling ability to kind of like do a little bit more, but the fact that with the big guys, that they love to do this choke slam, taunt the crowd and grab him by the throat, slam him down. The commentators go crazy. He walks around the ring a little bit. Look how big and strong I am. It's like, let the big guys be who they naturally are. That they did this with Keith Lee, and it made Keith Lee look like a fool. It didn't match him, and made him come off stiff and stuff like that. And with Omos, when they had the way that they have him wrestle, it makes the matches feel slow. Which, you can do that with someone who doesn't have the conditioning, but it seems like Omos kind of have some type of conditioning. Like, it feels like he's able to go, but they told him, all right, go with your pace. You can go to your pace, but take like 20 steps back from it. And so it really slows down the match. And it feels like the matches kind of drag on. Now, yeah, being chokeslammed from 9 feet is probably hurts a lot more than 6 or 7 feet, but still, I feel like he could speed it up a little bit. I think he's very capable of it. But yeah, I feel like this is a lose-lose situation. So for this one, I have this as the DQ count out no contest type of situation. I think with these two, maybe Omos gets frustrated because Bobby Lashley's, starting to get over on him. He takes a chair and whacks him or something. Or, hits him with the table and suddenly out of that he gets DQ'd. Or this could be the start of a feud between them and someone else. Maybe someone shows up um and attack Bobby Lashley or something like that. Because I could have sworn that Bobby Lashley was going to be out for 4 months, that it was surgery or something like that. So either he's actually still injured and that's why he's not going after the title right now and going after Omos, or he wasn't as hurt as they thought he would have been. If that's the case, then they definitely didn't need to take the title off of him, because he could actually have came back in time. Now, okay, yeah, you would have been really shooting yourself in the foot by having to promote one title with a build this whole time, but they built a Stone Cold match and a Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes match with one person. I don't know, but I feel like this is going to be the no contest DQ type of situation. Maybe Omos starts beating up Bobby Lashley enough that, he is taken out, give Bobby Lashley his WrestleMania paycheck and then let him go off and, get surgery or whatever it is. I hope it's not that he's actually injured because, you don't want someone to wrestle injured because it could definitely get a lot worse in the ring. But I think this is going to be the match that doesn't result in a winner. I don't know. For the fact that wins and losses don't matter with WWE, they really hate it when they really hate for someone to lose. I'll just say that. But I feel like that's what we're going to get. A no contest with this one. Um, Next up, we have Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. They really like Austin Theory. They had Austin Theory beat Ricochet in pretty much a squash. For what? Um, yeah, for what? I can see them doing this with someone else, but you did it against one of your champions. Like, yay. And he doesn't even get to show up at WrestleMania. So I'm gonna go with Pat McAfee on this one. I like Pat McAfee. The first time that he wrestled, he really he surprised the hell out of me. And then when he wrestled again in War Games, shocked me even more. So I feel as though, he's gonna have to retrain. I don't know who he's gonna have train him because I forgot who it was and when he wrestled NXT. Yeah, I forgot who trained him in NXT. But I'm hoping it's going to turn out to be a good match. Pat McAfee is definitely was one of those celebrities that is willing to take some type of risk. Um, but yeah, I kind of didn't like the fact that Austin Theory defeated Ricochet so quickly. But I'm gonna go with Pat McAfee on this one. I think, with Austin Theory and everything like that, the way he's been, coming after Pat McAfee and stuff like that, and the fact that Pat McAfee is very loved as a commentator. He is all of us if we were on commentary. So I'm gonna go with him on this one. I think he's going to pull out a move that will definitely shock the hell out of us, and we will definitely be talking about it afterwards. Um, After that, we have for the women's tag team championship match, Queen Zelena and Carmella versus Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan versus Natalya and Shayna Basler. Now look, I originally had wanted Sasha Banks and Naomi to win this, and they very much will. But my gosh, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley are adorable. Have you guys been seeing these clips of Liv Morgan jumping into Rhea Ripley's arms? Liv Morgan has a type, and I'm here for it. That is Mrs. Steal Your Girl, and she done stole Liv Morgan from all you marks. So, but yeah, they're adorable. She definitely has a type, and I didn't know that Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley was a team that I really, really like. Um, they were gonna, I forgot the alleged name that they were gonna go for their team. Um, but yeah, I didn't know I wanted that team between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. It makes me like, wow, we really didn't need to have Rhea Ripley team up with Nikki ASH. Like we really could have had these two go after win the titles and stuff like that. So I figured, maybe here Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan win. If not, then I definitely want to see them continue on as a tag team. Officially, I'm going to go with them too. If it's Sasha Banks and Naomi, I will not be mad at that either. I think those two definitely deserve titles. Sasha Banks, of course, was one of the ones who really wanted a women's tag team title, fought for it, you know, constantly talking about it and stuff like that. Finally got it. They won the belts and they really wanted to treat the belts well. So I think if Sasha Banks and Naomi was to win it, that Sasha Banks is definitely going to try her best to, keep keep titles feel important. And, open challenge even. Hell, you can have, legends come back as a tag team or something like that, or have a legend team up with someone of the current roster or something like that. But yeah, officially gonna have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Sorry for all the people who really like Sasha Banks and Naomi, but gosh darn it, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. What? Especially with the matching outfit. Whoa, I had flashbacks to that Saudi show. But yeah, I'm gonna go with them to win this. But like I said, if it's Sasha Banks and Naomi, I won't be mad. Natalya and Shayna Basler, oh my gosh, I love Shayna Basler, but it's not happening here. It's not happening. Um, Damn, I really wish that Shayna Baszler was on the same card as Ronda Rousey. Because can you imagine if maybe Shayna Baszler, if Charlotte had someone come out to be like her flunky or something like that, and then yeah, Shayna Baszler come out and help out Ronda Rousey. They did put out a video of them two training together. I didn't really watch it, but I really would love to see these two in the ring together, whether it's against each other or if it's as a tag team. But we have Raw after Mania, which is definitely a crazy world. We can have Shayna Baszler walk right up to Ronda Rousey and challenge her for the title. I hope a WWE insider just heard that one. Um, Next up for the Raw Tag Team Championship match, we have RK Bro going against the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Shush! Gosh. Gable, aka Kurt Angle 2.0. Some people may not like the way he's booked. Look, I will take this over Shorty G any day. I am loving this for him. The shush, you know. Um, but yeah, I like what like I said, I like what Chad Gable is doing here. The Kurt Angle 2.0. He has a saying now, a couple of sayings and everything like that. Street Profits, damn it. The Street Profits. Listen, I know there are a lot of fans of Arcade Bro. I know there are fans of the Street Profits. I'm one of them. But damn it, give Alpha Academy the title. I feel like there could be a lot of fun had with Alpha Academy if they win the title. Like, oh my gosh, I can imagine the damn segments that this team is going to have. People are feeling that there could be a turn between RK Bro, especially the fact that Randy Orton had used the F word, friend. Randy Orton doesn't know what the word friend is. Once, just like with Kevin Owens, once they call you your friend, you better watch your back, or else you'll get RKO'd, or when Kevin Owens' case is stunner or whatever, or pop up power bomb if you want to be vintage. But I feel like there may be a turn against each other. Big swerve if Riddle was the one to turn heel versus the always turning heel Randy Orton. That would be interesting for him to go. I would love to see how they would do that for him to go to bro to no. Oh no, if the WWE Insider is still listening, scratch that one. Don't do RK bro, no, or whatever. But yeah, I would like to see Riddle as a heel. He was even a face in the Black and Gold NXT, so I'm interested how he would be able to handle being a heel. You can't really do the surfer dude vibes if you're a heel. Yeah, you can't really do that. I mean, there's not a lot of surfers that talk like that who is a complete ass. I'm sure there's ones out there, but I really can't think of one. But I'm gonna go Alpha Academy on here because YOLO. You know what I mean? I would like to see Alpha Academy segments with the titles. I can imagine them, wearing graduation gowns or something like that while holding the titles or something. Like I'm ready to see what they're gonna do here. I'm all for it. Just not a 20-minute long damn segment in the middle of Raw. That's all I ask. Next up, the Anything Goes match. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Don't know why they didn't just call this a hardcore match. They could have even said a jackass match. That was definitely a big miss in the marketing opportunity. A jackass match. Um, I feel like this segment is just going to be nothing but Johnny Knoxville setting up the stunts for the next movie, show, or whatever this is going to be. I feel like it's going to be a bunch of pranks. I think the whole Jackass crew is going to show up and do a bunch of pranks to Sami Zayn. But yeah, I hate when they say anything goes match. Just say hardcore, no holds bar, no DQ, just a jackass match. Like, oh, if the WWE Insider is listening now, like if you're listening, WWE Insider, you could listen again. Just give that tidbit a jackass match. I think you can say ass on WWE TV. But I'm gonna go with Johnny Knoxville here. Just as like I said with Logan Paul, celebrities win at WrestleMania. It's a one-off. If they win, they get to walk around Hollywood and say, "I won a WrestleMania match," and it's not gonna really hurt the person who's going against the celebrity because we all know it's a one-off. I mean, a loss to a celebrity isn't really gonna damper someone's record. I mean, they may go to mid or something like that, but it's not gonna exactly hurt like that. Um, will it? Because Sami Zayn has been definitely doing his hard work as far as, putting over this match and stuff like that. Interested to see where we go from here. Once this match concludes, but I'm definitely going to go with Johnny Knoxville on here. Perfect opportunity for WWE to use Johnny Knoxville to, get some eyes on him, especially with them, promoting the movie and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Johnny Knoxville here. Next up, Edge versus AJ Styles. I feel like a stip could have went on this match as well. This could have been anything goes match as well, but I'm fine with it. This is the match that I am excited to see. This is the WrestleMania match that I can't wait to see, especially on Sunday. Um, I'm a big fan of AJ Styles. I like Edge. I'm brokenhearted that they took away my favorite theme, but it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna get AJ Styles with the L'Oreal hair, flowing. Well, it's not open. It's not a open roof with Jerry World, but still, I feel like we're gonna get the L'Oreal because I'm worth it hair moment of the year with AJ Styles. I'm gonna go with AJ Styles on this one. I think this is gonna be a really good match, but I want AJ Styles to win this so he can go off to get a title. I mean, I know that they're unifying the titles, but it's time for someone else to win the title, please. Um, but I'm gonna go with AJ Styles. I think this is gonna be the match of the night. Yeah, looking at all the other matches, this is going to be the match of the night. I'm sorry. I know that we still have the biggest WrestleMania match of all time going on. I mean, I have a big different opinion about it. Um, but yeah, let's go on to the biggest WrestleMania match of all time for the title unification match. WWE Champion versus Universal Champion. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I've been watching wrestling for a very long time. I'm not excited for this match at all. I know that, it's the tribal chief this time, but I'm not that excited for this match because I've seen this match plenty of times. And while yes, it's different because it is, it's Cowboy Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, there's really not going to be that much of a difference in the ring, except for, I mean, like, Roman Reigns will talk a lot of shit, when if Brock Lesnar is on his back, and Roman Reigns going to be walking around talking a lot of shit when he has the time to taunt. And, Brock Lesnar has mentioned he's going to bring back Suplex City again, which, it's always been there. You just haven't said it. I mean, you're still suplexing people. But yeah, like, Roman Reigns, as far as promo and gimmick, has changed, but his wrestling move set didn't change a lot. I mean, he added the guillotine and stuff like that, but his move set really didn't change too much. And neither has Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar still does suplexes and F5s. So it's, even though like it's different, it's still not different, if that makes any sense. Like, at least with Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, for example. I know they didn't have a lot of matches, throughout the decades, but even the difference between WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 26 match, the difference between Undertaker versus Triple H as far as WrestleMania 27 and WrestleMania 28. I mean, we could look at John Cena versus Randy Orton, for example. The fact that we had that match so many times and it didn't really feel like there wasn't a much difference between match 3 and match 300. And that's kind of how I feel about Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I mean, it's still like the same stuff. It's going to be Brock Lesnar giving a bunch of suplexes, stuff like that. And then Roman Reigns is going to get a second win and start doing Superman punches and then talking shit and stuff like that. And then, from there, whoever wins, whoever wins. Now listen. I think this can go either way. And my buddy over at Clark Street Wrestling may be a little mad at this. But I have Roman Reigns losing this. Now, look, I do feel like Roman Reigns could win this and then retain and continue on. But I feel like Roman Reigns might lose here and Brock Lesnar will get the title. Reason being is that this is a title unification match. And because of that, we're going to have one champion go across both shows. Now, yes, Brock Lesnar only comes around during WrestleMania time, but the last time he did kind of been around between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. So maybe he holds these titles until SummerSlam where he actually loses it. Whether that's back to Roman Reigns or not. But I would like to see Cowboy Brock Lesnar kind of go against someone else. I'm very interested to see, once we unify these titles, how the title picture is going to look. Unfortunately, instead of, at least 10 people, not 10 people, that's a bit of a stretch, but, instead of 6 people in the title card, 3 on each show, now it's 3 in the whole company. And that's what I kind of was dreading with the title unification, is that last time we did it, it was like a select few that was at the top. And because there were no new stars, you always kind of had the same title picture over and over and over again. Now back to my point of seeing the same story over and over again. Shout out to the Clark Street Wrestling podcast again, and Universal Wrestling podcast as well. Clark Street Wrestling Podcast had mentioned Universal Wrestling Podcast about the fact that we're getting the same match over and over again. And the point that Universal Wrestling Podcast had made was the fact that they redo, the thinking is that the same big matches are done over and over and over again so to catch a new audience, because WWE, they kind of cater more towards the casuals versus people who have been watching wrestling for a very long time, because they tend to go over what would be trending more on Twitter versus what will be more pleasing to a wrestling fan, if that makes any sense. And Clark Street Wrestling Podcast, Hafiz had made the point that, while, yeah, you will try to put on the same match to kind of like gain a new audience, but it's not doing a service to the people who are already watching your product. And I've seen this match plenty of times, which without any big changes to it. My thinking to it is that, with the thinking of, for Raw, for example. For Raw, we see a lot of the same matches. It's predictable. I can, like, the frustrating thing when I was watching the Elimination Chamber match, while I didn't predict Bobby Lashley to be taken out, I was able to predict who was coming out next. And I hate it when WWE kind of comes predictable, because when it comes predictable, except for like if uh, miss like one or two predictions, it still feels predictable to you. If you're able to like call out what's going to happen next, you don't really want to see it. Like if you're watching a movie and you can already tell, if you're watching a murder mystery, you can already tell who's the killer. Like the only reason you're watching is to see if you were actually right and how stupid is going to be revealed. For me, I don't watch all 3 hours of Raw. I'll either watch the first hour or the second hour, or I will not watch it at all, and then I will just catch like YouTube clips or Twitch or something like that. I'm not Twitch, Twitter, as far as recap. Or I will watch, the condensed version of it um on Hulu. Yeah, the condensed version of it on Hulu or something like that. Um, but to watch like all 3 hours and then it's like no guarantee that that all of Raw will be good. And there's some times where Raw is good, yes. But there's like no excitement because you're seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. With AEW Dynamite, like I'm excited to watch it because as of right now, it's different stuff and stuff like that. And eventually, yeah, we're gonna get filler episodes of Dynamite. We actually had it a couple of times, a couple of times with AEW that Dynamite was filler episodes. But it's still like exciting to me because it's things that I haven't really seen before. Like they haven't given, like we haven't seen, for example, Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho for the umpteenth time. While yes, you had CM Punk versus MJF a couple of times. Well, they switched up the story, so it's completely something different. It gives it a different feel. A bigger a bigger thing that I can an example that I can use, it has to do with Batman. With Batman, kind of the same thing as the thinking that Universal Wrestling Podcast had mentioned, that you want to do things so that you can capture a new audience. And I'm a Batman fan. I'm a big Batman fan. I used to watch the 60s Batman, not live, of course. I'm not that damn old. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that damn old. They used to do reruns of the 60s Batman in the 80s until, of course, the 1985 movie came out. So that was my generation Batman, was Michael Keaton. Shout out to him. Love Michael Keaton. There's a generation who Batman is Adam West. There's a generation whose Batman is Michael Keaton. There's a generation of Batman is, Val Kilmer / George Clooney, the Batmans that we don't really speak of. There is an audience. There's a generation who likes the Christopher Nolan Batmans. There's a generation who likes Ben Affleck as Batman. There's a generation of the animated series. I completely forgot to mention that. Don't hate on me. Kevin Conroy. There's also a generation now of Robert Pattinson as Batman. Batman has been done so many times to the point that we all know the story. Even the fact that Joker has been done so many times. We all know the origin story. Like we know the thing that they always change up is who shot Thomas and Martha Wayne. But it's always the same. Martha's pearls get ripped from her neck. She gets shot. Um, Thomas Wayne gets shot, and then Martha gets shot. Pearls come off her neck. Bruce Wayne is sit there, as the sole survivor, and then 15, 20 minutes later, he becomes Batman with Alfred by his side. And Jim Gordon is the commissioner. It's the same story. It's done different interpretations, but it's still the same hero. It's still the same superhero, but different actors who plays them, just so they can capture a new audience. So of course there's going to be a lot of comparisons. There's going to be a lot of people who is, kind of tired of sometimes seeing the same type of story. Like, I don't need to see the origin story anymore. We already know the origin story. So I would say, as far as with Batman, using my example, this Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the past 7 years has been Warner Brothers doing Batman's origin story over and over and over again. Like every Batman, they start off with the origin story. They won't let it go. What the difference between that, so to go against that would be Marvel. For as many Batmans as we had, how many Iron Mans do we have? How many Thors do we have? How many Hawkeyes do we have? How many Captain Americas are there? It's all one actor who plays these characters. However, they have successfully crafted a story of superheroes that have intertwined between movies and TV shows since 2011. Since 2011. And since 1989, DC had a head start of the superhero game with over Marvel. We had how many Supermans? How many Jokers? How many versions of the Penguin? How many versions of Alfred? How many versions of Jim Gordon? How many versions of Bruce Wayne? How many versions of Batman and Robin and even Bane? But yet, and this is since 1989, and it's not even, and DC's not even, still not getting it because there's two Batmans currently. We have Ben Affleck now and Robert Pattinson. And don't sit here and tell me Robert Pattinson's going to grow up to be Ben Affleck, okay? Fuck you. That's not happening, okay? Anyway. However, since 2011, we had the story from when Iron Man says, I am Iron Man, to now, with a new Captain America and with Spider-Man. That whole story intertwined to point back to the moment of Tony Stark saying, I am Iron Man. That's how you really keep people's, attention and keep things still exciting. Marvel has been putting out superhero movies since 2011, and people today are tweeting out, waiting for a trailer for the next Thor movie, waiting for the next series from Marvel to come out. Waiting for the Doctor Strange movie and what's going to happen. So like, see how much excitement there is for the Marvel movies. But when Batman was announced and it was Robert Pattinson, it's just like, we're getting the story all over again. And like, well, no, I might have a bad example with Batman, because there are some interpretations that really work well. But imagine if they decide to do a sequel to the Batman and they announce a whole other actor, and they decide, you know what, we're going to do the origin of Batman again. We're going to tell you what happened to his parents and how he became an orphan. Everybody's going to say, I've seen it plenty of times before. They did it way back when. They did it back in the 1989 Batman. We've seen the origin story. We know they get shot. We know he's left as an orphan. He eventually grows up to be Batman. No, 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 no. This is going to be different this time. This time, Martha gets shot first. And it's a different gunman. Like, do you see what I'm saying? I know I've gone on a very long tangent of superheroes. Sorry, that's the nerd in me. But my point is that Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns have been done 7 years in a row. 7 years in a row? Maybe not 7 years in a row. Because no, not 7 years in a row. Because we did get Roman Reigns versus Triple H at one point. But still, them two going against each other, it's like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, like going against each other over and over and over and over and over again. Like even with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, at least there was like complete differences with the story, stuff like that. The only difference between right now and all the times that they've been going against each other is that Roman Reigns is now the tribal chief. Like Roman Reigns suddenly is a heel-ish somewhat. He's liked now with the crowd and stuff like that. But even still, it's like we've seen this all before. Like it's gonna be suplexes, and then Roman Reigns is gonna start doing the Superman punch and stuff like that. Like there's no big variety with the in-ring wrestling. That's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. The in-ring wrestling is the same. The character work is different, which is interesting, but they still have the same moveset. Like Brock Lesnar isn't going to do another shooting star press, ladies and gentlemen, but still. But yeah, maybe I'm doing this just to switch things up. I don't know. It's just the fact that I would like Roman Reigns to kind of like have a really big feud with someone else. And I feel like that can be done without him having the title. Sorry. I would like for Brock Lesnar to win here to kind of be like a transitional champion. I would love for him to feud with Bobby Lashley next. I know that we've seen it before. But as we saw with Bobby Lashley winning and losing and stuff like that, someone else was always involved. I would love to see a straight up feud between these two without Roman Reigns lurking in the background and stuff like that when we know that's who Brock Lesnar really wants to go against. I just would like that. I feel like Roman Reigns' character is strong enough to not have the title. Like you can have whoever he's gonna feud with next, make him lose the title, whatever. You can even have no, you can't have Paul Heyman because that's gonna bring him back to Brock once again. Like yeah, you could really have someone come in and like cause him to lose the match and have him feud against the person. Because I feel like Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, that character is good enough to not need the title. Because there's wrestlers out there who needs a title, but there are wrestlers out there who are so good as far as their character, I should say, that they don't need the title. Like Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega is a feud that doesn't need a title. Like that feud is good enough as is. I feel like Roman Reigns is good enough as is. Like this character can still work without the title. That's my opinion about it. I'm hoping still it's a good match. Like I know I'm like bashing and stuff like that. I really hope it's still a good match. I really hope that they just bring something different to the table. Especially if WWE's like so putting this over as the biggest match of all time. I think if WWE didn't put so much into this match, like there wouldn't be so much like about it, you know what I mean? But the fact they're like, this is the biggest match of all time, and this, that, and the third, and oh my gosh, we're gonna put all our eggs into this basket, and forget that we got two fucking champions who's not even on the pay-per-view, and then forget the fact that we don't have Andre the Battle Memorial. Oh, just throw him on Friday. We have to put all of our concentration on this match. So that's probably why I'm feeling like a bit against it, because I'm like, you guys put all your eggs in this basket and you're like forgetting about people. And it's a shame because there's people who are missing out on a paycheck, a big paycheck. And there are people who have fought and wrestled relentlessly and finally get a title and they're not even on the card. And there's people who have not been seen on TV and they're not even on the card because creative don't even have nothing for them to do. I really don't want to sound bitter because I do like WWE. I really love WrestleMania. I just have a high expectation for WrestleMania. And, it's slightly disappointing that it's like it's not there on paper. You know what I mean? There is so much concentration on a few matches that other matches are kind of like thrown to the side. And, they started to get it together as we get closer to WrestleMania, but they're still putting matches on the card. WrestleMania is in a few days. We need to get WWE need to get it together. Like, you can't do this. This should have been done. This should have been done weeks ago. As someone who procrastinated all throughout college, let me tell you, it doesn't work. It is not good when you wait till last minute to do things, because you turn it into a half-ass job, and we don't want WrestleMania to be a half-ass job. However, I'm still excited about it. I am. I really am excited about it. I just feel like some of the booking could have been cleaned up a lot. I feel like if they didn't wait till last minute for some of this stuff, that they could have definitely had, this would have been booked a lot better. There would have been a lot more concentration on, what is going to be. And then come to find, and there's rumors out there that already WrestleMania 39, they're trying to go for The Rock versus Roman Reigns, which is like, you guys can think a year ahead. I mean, they announced The Rock versus John Cena a year ahead of time. So it's like you guys can think a year ahead. And while yes, budget cuts and all the other stuff, you guys should at least have it planned out in January. Like soon as it turns January 1st, you guys should like already kind of like have a rough draft of what it is that you want to do for WrestleMania. But this is the same company that tears up raw ideas 20 minutes before the show airs. So I guess I'm asking for a lot from this rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk um, of how to book a WrestleMania from Jaydee. But on that note, that's it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give some shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast and TurnOfMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. Also special shout outs to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle Debate. Top Talk Wrestling podcast, and I just had their name, Universal Wrestling Podcast, because I had talked about their idea as well. Coming up next week, it is the big show, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about that big show. I'm talking about for the Wrestlebread podcast. It is the 3-year anniversary birthday extravaganza after WrestleMania review. More likely, I am thinking of doing a live show like I did for year 2. Be sure to be on the look out for that. And maybe a live on YouTube with Ask Me Anything like I did previously before, and I talk about what happened at WrestleMania and we go from there. To keep up with the updates with that, be sure to follow me on Twitter at JDC137. That's JAYDEE letter C 137. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Wrestlebread as well. Be sure to look at the links in the bio so you can get the links to the Instagrams, the Facebook, the TikTok, and the YouTube channel. If you're watching from the YouTube channel, please leave your comments below, like and subscribe. Let me know what match you're looking forward to. Let me know how you feel about Bobby Lashley versus Omos and who you think Vince McMahon is really going to introduce. I'm very excited if he does introduce Cody Rhodes, but damn it, if he pulls out Gable Stevenson or someone else, the world is going to wrestling Twitter is going to catch fire. And I'm going to get out a stick and a marshmallow to heat it up with that fire and eat some s'mores with it. 'Cause whoa. If they and then they can save, maybe they saving Cody Rhodes for Raw after Mania. For him to go up against Veer. Veer is coming. I mean, Veer has been coming since November, and what a load he's going to blow when he comes. But that man has been uh, coming since fucking what, October, November, or something like that. It's been a very long time. It's probably not even that long, but it's still a very long time to show vignettes. I mean, I think that man broke a record. I remember what Emelina was, supposed to be coming to Raw or SmackDown, and they did all the vignettes for her, but I think Veer has surpassed that. And I'm happy that he's going to show up for Raw after Mania. The one person who should show up against that crowd should be him. I hope he gets cheered like he is Hook. Send Veer. I hope he gets cheered like Hook. Give it all to me. That man deserves it all, to be sitting around taking pictures on Instagram for Instagram, and not be able to wrestle. All he has is fucking vignettes saying he's coming. He's coming to Raw. I don't know which one, but he's coming to Raw. And finally, he gets his moment. So I hope he is cheered heavily. If you're one of the internationals, or if you're going to Raw after Mania, cheer for that man. Stand up. Bring the clappers that shake and it claps and stuff like that. Hold the beach balls, but do the wave for that guy in Veer's name. Okay? But yeah, let me know your thoughts of WrestleMania, the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. But yeah, let me know your predictions, who you think is going to win. Are you happy that Bobby Lashley is going against Omos and not going after his title? Do you think the Jackass crew is going to come out? How do you feel about Stone Cold and KO? Is this going to be The Undertaker versus John Cena, or are they actually going to wrestle? I was listening to someone's Twitch, and they mentioned oh, what if they have the show and, Stone Cold or KO beat one or the other up, and then they have the match on Sunday. I said that would be the worst booking decision in wrestling history. That you entice all those people to buy tickets for Saturday to see Stone Cold, and then you say, Stunner, good night, folks. Catch the match the next day. No. If I showed up to Saturday, if I travel all the way down, all I have enough money for is for one show, and I paid for Saturday to see Stone Cold just to find out that motherfucker is wrestling on Sunday instead. No, no, sir, no, thank you. But yeah, I'm excited for WrestleMania. Not excited because of WWE's efforts. Truthfully, they have really done a very bad job as far as booking WrestleMania to feel like WrestleMania. But just excited, just the fact that it's WrestleMania. It's craziness gonna happen. I'm especially excited for Raw after Mania because they pull out all the damn stops, and it's fans back now, and the internationals I believe are back, so you can't hide nothing now. And I'm here for all the chants, the new chants of the year that's coming, and yeah, I am here for it all. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, guys, peace.